This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore.
How many times do I have to say cruelty is the point? How many times do I have to talk about the fact that Donald Trump is attempting in an unseemly manner to appeal to the worst of us? And not even the worst of us on an individual basis, but he's attempting to appeal to the worst, our worst instincts. That lizard brain part of us that wants vengeance. We witnessed it when he was gassing peaceful protesters a block away from the White House at St. John's Episcopal Church, right on 16th Street in Washington, D.C. We witnessed it when he was talking about when the shooting starts, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. He's a vile demagogue with violent tendencies. I'm going to read from this Rolling Stones article. Trump plans to bring back firing squads, group executions if he retakes White House. The ex-president wants to expand the use of the death penalty and expand the federal government's option for carrying out death sentences. What kind of a country do we want to be? I am opposed to the death penalty, and not for reasons that many out there are against it. I'm against it because I think it gives too much power to the government, to the state, to decide for whatever reasons who gets to live and who gets to die. That is not the government's role. If someone commits a heinous crime, even the most heinous of crimes, you put them away forever. You remove them and the danger they pose to society by putting them away. The government should not be in the business of killing, of choosing which citizens get to live and which get to die. And that's not even an argument, the valid argument about people who get convicted of murder who had nothing to do with the crime. We just witnessed that this week in Missouri. What do you think of firing squads? That's the question Donald Trump repeatedly asked some close associates in the run-up to the 2024 presidential campaign. 3 people familiar with the situation tell Rolling Stone. It's not an idle inquiry. The former president, if reelected, is still committed to expanding the use of the federal death penalty and bringing back banned methods of execution, the sources say. He has even, one of the sources recounts, mused about televising footage of executions, including showing condemned prisoners in the final moments of their lives. This is medieval. This is gross. This is disgusting. It's reprehensible. It's violent. It is retribution for retribution's sake. It's also hypocritical that a man who claims to be the law and order guy who's been involved in countless crimes, from obstruction of justice to insurrection against the United States, that he would say, yeah, we want the most radical punishment for people who commit crimes. Not for him, certainly not for him, but for anybody else, anybody that he can point the finger at. The death penalty, group executions. Specifically, Trump has talked about bringing back death by firing squad, by hanging, and according to 2 of the sources, possibly even by guillotine. He has also, sources say, discussed group executions. Trump has floated these ideas while discussing planned campaign rhetoric and policy desires, as well as his disdain for President Biden's approach to crime. Listen, I don't know how many times I've talked about this particular thing that I'm getting ready to say again, that Donald Trump has to amp up the rhetoric. He has to top himself. He has to do more than he did in 2016. And when he ran for president again in 2020, he amped that up. And now that he's running again in 2024, he has to amp up what he did in 2020. It's just an escalation of cruelty, an escalation of unconstitutional, a disregard for the document and the ideas that Republicans claim to revere, they claim to stand for. In at least one instance last year, according to the third source, who has direct knowledge of the matter, Trump privately mused about the possibility of creating a flashy, government-backed video ad campaign that would accompany a federal revival of these execution methods. In Trump's vision, these videos would include footage from these new executions, if not from the exact moments of death. Quote, the ex-president believes this would help put the fear of God into violent criminals, the source said. He wanted to do some of these things when he was in office, but for whatever reason, didn't have the chance. The death penalty has been proven time and time and time and time and time again through study after study after study that it is not a deterrent. The death penalty is not a deterrent for crime. But in Donald Trump's Adderall-addled brain, in his low-information goober mind, that still holds up as a justification. A Trump spokesman, likely Taylor Budowich, denies Trump has mused about a video ad campaign, quote, more ridiculous and fake news from idiots who have no idea what they're talking about, the spokesman writes in an email. Either these people are fabricating lies out of thin air, or Rolling Stone is allowing themselves to be duped by these morons. Every time, listen, name a time that they denied something that ended up being that they were correct, that the denial was correct and the reporting was wrong. Name me reporting that was wrong that Donald Trump denied. I challenge you to do that. Every time they deny something as fake news, and the more aggressively that they push back on it, it just solidifies how accurate it is. Does this seem off the mark for Donald Trump? Does this seem out of character for Donald Trump? Come on. What do you think? I'd love to know. You can call, leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. Tonight, I am going to be live streaming at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I'd love to see you there. It'll be a good time. Bring a drink and a snack, and let's hang out. If you would be so kind, I would ask you to consider supporting my work here on the channel. Click the join button below. Become a channel member for $1.99 per month. You can help support in an ongoing way my efforts here. You can also go over to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. That's a great way to help support what I do here, not just the podcast, although it does indeed help the podcast. And you can also buy some merch. Abolish the filibuster. We've got Fight Poverty, Not the Poor. We've just got straight up Dollemore Daily, all kinds of stuff. You can buy a coffee mug. It's not just t-shirts, a tote, stickers, all kinds of stuff that help support the show, and you get something in return other than my face and voice, which is really way better deal. A way better deal. Follow me on social media. I'd love to see you there. I'm at Dollemore on Twitter, at Dollemore on Instagram, and on TikTok. And that does it. Let's strive for a better world, a less cruel, divisive world. I think you're on board. I'll see you next time. Until I do, be genuine. Take care of one another.